Welcome to another day in the Matrix. This is Waters Above. Did you guys miss me? I hope you've all been amazing, and what a wild past couple of months it's been. And here we are, Bitcoin has hit a new all-time high, while Bitcoin dominance is showing the same signs that it did last cycle, moments before we entered into alt season. So that's what we're going to focus on here in today's video, preparing for the final phase of this crypto bull run cycle, alt season, which historically begins in this month of October. So as you can imagine, we have a lot to cover here today, so let's get straight into it. And if you are new here at Waters Above, we're empowering you to unlock your infinite potential with esoteric investing by combining Gematria, Numerology, and Astrology with technical analysis to understand these markets and become a more profitable investor. Now let's take the clear pill. And I want to kick things off here reviewing a chart that I shared with you all over 7 months ago, which ended up being quite popular as other crypto analysts in the space started utilizing it for their content, which I'm grateful for. And it's this Bitcoin Wyckoff reaccumulation chart, which I started piecing together as it was forming this structure right here, the creek, as you can see in phase B. And when we got that push down into early March, pivoting perfectly around the total lunar eclipse on March 14th, followed by the move back up into the partial solar eclipse in late March, this was the structure that really solidified for me that we were in this Wyckoff reaccumulation schematic, which at the time was quite early of a call because we were yet to have a confirmation of a recovery. And as a technical analyst, you always are awaiting confirmations before making any calls. But the reason that I was confident with that call at that time was because we were dealing with this correction during a lunar eclipse. And that's where my work here at Waters Above distinguishes itself from the rest. That's why many of you are here, for the esoteric outlook on these markets. So then, as we were wrapping up the month of March, pushing away from eclipse season, we then had a very significant event on April 2nd. April 2nd was Trump's Liberation Day. World War tariff was officially confirmed and Bitcoin sunk right back down to support at the beginning of April, which you can see on the Wyckoff reaccumulation schematic here below. It's what pushed us into phase C, or the spring. And the spring is where we typically have the scariest part of the narrative, creating that what eventually is considered to be a bear trap, trapping bears in short positions effectively at the bottom. And the date that this crash ended on couldn't have been any more perfect. And let me quickly explain why and the whole purpose of today's video and the code that we're going to be revealing. Because this tariff crash bottomed on April 7th, the 4/7 date. And Donald Trump is currently the 47th president of the United States. Now, if you're somebody who's been tracking along here at Waters Above, you've heard me talk about this quite a bit. Some of you might be newer here, and if you are, welcome to the Wolfpack. It's so great to have you here with us. It is important, though, that we break this down here today and the reasons why, because it will be revealing to us a later date that's to come, about a month and a half from now. So I'll be really preparing you guys in advance. And that's why this is so significant, so that you can see this decoding system that we're using here can help you understand what's to come in the future. Now, getting back to this, as I was saying, we have Donald Trump, currently the 47th president of the United States. We have this entire market crashing into April 7th and bottoming on that exact date. Of course, in the Gregorian system, we would call that the 4/7 date, written internationally as 7/4. But if you look right here, this was where the S&P 500 topped out before we had this tariff world war. And it was on the date of February 19th. That was the all-time high for the S&P at the time. And if you look at when we crashed and bottomed and take the time frame between these two dates, it is 47 days. And also on this exact date, April 7th, written 7/4 internationally, Bitcoin bottomed at 74K. Again, it's not the news headlines or the politicians that run these markets. It's Gematria, Numerology, and Astrology. And over the past 5 years, we've been proving that to you here. So this is very powerful stuff. And you're going to see how often this 47 code has been playing its role. And it's been a theme this entire year here in 2025 since Trump has become the 47th president. And to bring in an additional element that proves the power of this decoding system I'm using here, consider the fact that we're in the year of the snake. And this will be, of course, Chinese zodiac. We have the year of the wood snake. You could see all of the years listed over here. So we're specifically in the year of the wood snake for the majority of 2025. And if you go back to the last time that we were in specifically the year of the wood snake, it was in 1965. Now we're going to be opening up the S&P 500 chart from 1965, and you're going to see something absolutely mind-blowing. Because if you go from the top over here, before the first eclipse of the year, we would be on May 13th. And if you measured over to the bottom of that correction, yep, you guessed it, it took 47 days for this correction to occur and bottom and recover. Pretty unbelievable, because this was 60 years ago and we did the same exact thing. We topped before eclipse season, we crashed for 47 days, and then we recovered. Pushed higher into Q3 with a new all-time high, and then we pushed even higher into price discovery in Q4 of that year. Same structure, same Chinese year, 60 years apart, pretty mind-blowing. Now, returning back to our current chart, we're going to be focusing on crypto, of course, for the majority of today's video. If you take from this April 7th bottom, which occurred right there, and you are to measure it over to this date right here, which was May 23rd, this was the next new all-time high for Bitcoin at the time. And you're going to see that these two dates are 47 days apart. So we crashed for 47 days, and then into the 4/7 date, for 47 days after, Bitcoin goes from its low to its new high. If this doesn't prove it to you, I'm not sure what else to tell you, but we're going to provide you with even more for the rest of this video. So we're just getting started. We have this unbelievable connection. 47 days from the bottom on the 4/7 date, Bitcoin's hitting a new all-time high before trading sideways. And now this is where it gets even more incredible, because if you go to the following date from May 24th, and you were to go over to the next breakout, which was on July 10th, let me show you right here. So we have this red resistance line, and that date right there when we broke above the resistance was July 10th, and that also took 47 days. Recently, also over on my Patreon, I released a decode actually over a month ago for our Mastermind community that revealed the significance of last week tied to this 47 code that we've been reviewing here. And to summarize that decode, essentially, I connected from the date that Trump won the selection on November 5th of 2024. So let me quickly plug that in. So we have selection victory date, and then we took it to last week. And you're going to see that these are 47 weeks apart. So from Trump winning the selection to become the 47th president, 47 weeks after, we had a very significant event happen. So what happened last week? Closing off the week on October 3rd. Well, if you go over here to the Dow Jones, you're going to see that this date right here of October 3rd was the first time ever the Dow Jones hit 47,000 points. You can see it when I hover my cursor right there next to H, which stands for high, and you'll see 47,049 points. So that was the first time ever that the Dow Jones hit 47,000 points. And now for some of you who need more proof, well, 47 weeks after Trump won the selection to become the 47th president, we also had silver hitting $47 to start that week. So we have Monday, September 29th, the start of that week, and you look right over here and you'll see $47. By the way, this was the first time that silver hit $47 per ounce in 14 years, dating back to May of 2011. You can't make this up. And for those who've been following this channel for some time, you know the deeper meaning behind this ritual. But for those who are new here, I want you to realize that silver is actually the 47th element on the periodic table. And we use the periodic table here as well. Shout out to Logan over at Decode Your Reality. He's somebody that influenced me to start utilizing it in my work, and it absolutely changed the game. About 4 to 5 years ago, I started using this pretty heavily in my work, and I haven't looked back. And I believe this connection right here, silver being the 47th element, we're getting 47 weeks after Trump wins the election to become the 47th president. Silver hits $47 per ounce for the first time in 14 years. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And what's fascinating also, if I was to go to like the weekly chart here for silver, we're going to zoom out all the way. You're going to see something very important. You see that top over there? Because this wasn't the last time that we got rejected at around $47 in May of 2011. We actually had this happen back in 1980, the very beginning of 1980, the rejection at $47. So you got to understand the significance here tied to the 47th element in the periodic table, and how that was a resistance in 1980 after this absolutely mind-blowing melt-up. And then we dealt with that for, I mean, this is quite a while to think how long this lasted. This took 14 years. So what are we looking at here? It's an unbelievable amount of time. And this will be actually a very happy moment for you silver investors, because what we're looking at right now is an epic triple top. So I believe we'll be breaking out from this 45-year resistance very soon, and we'll finally have that $50 silver that investors have been waiting for. And I see much higher prices until the next Shemitah year in 2028, ending on Rosh Hashanah, the Hebrew New Year, 2029. But I'll save that decode for another video. So as I was saying, because I've been utilizing this 47 code all year for my decode since Trump was inaugurated, it helped me identify the significance of last week far in advance, and our mastermind community was prepared for this over a month before it happened. So if you're interested in joining our mastermind community, our like-minded conscious investor space, and would like to have access to my weekly Red Pill podcasts where I recap the week and share my outlook on the weeks ahead, and in many cases months ahead, then make sure to head over to patreon.com/watersabove. And by joining our mastermind community, you'll also unlock access to over 500 exclusive posts, over 200 full-length podcasts, including a new podcast that's released every week. Plus, I have written market updates that I release on a weekly basis as well, so our community could have a midweek market update. And also, by joining our mastermind community, you'll access our members-only Discord server for our community group chat, so you could come hang out with the Wolfpack and chat with us about so much more than just crypto. It's really amazing what we're doing over there, and we'd love to have you join us, especially during times like these in the cycle where it could be very tough to navigate. And it's great to surround yourself with like-minded individuals to ask questions and bounce ideas off of each other and collaborate. That's what the Wolfpack is all about. So again, you can learn more about our mastermind community at patreon.com/watersabove, and you'll also be able to find that link in the description and in the pinned comment below. Now, since we covered all those 47 connections, I have another one that you'll definitely want to pay attention to, and it's the 47th week of the year, which will be between November 17th through November 23rd. So I told you we would use this code and it would unlock a very important time frame for us to be paying attention to. So the reason this is so important is not just because of the connection to the 47 code, but it's also during the time frame of the November new moon, which you'll see right over here, November 20th. If you remember in our last cycle, Bitcoin hit a new all-time high at 69K around the November new moon. So you don't want to sleep on this gem that I'm sharing with you here. especially considering the fact that Bitcoin also topped on the new moon in December 2017 and also 2013. And with the one in 2013 being just a couple days into the month of December, effectively topping at the very end of November. So to quickly recap, in 2013, our first real crypto cycle, Bitcoin topped on the December new moon. Then in 2017, Bitcoin topped on the December new moon, literally perfectly within 24 hours of the new moon. So it's undeniable. Then in our last cycle in 2021, Bitcoin topped on the November new moon, very close to it. I believe it was about 48 hours or so. All iterations that I just explained are 4 years apart, all topping in late Q4 and all topping on or very close to a new moon, whether that be November or December. So with that setting the tone for the next month, let me quickly show you what we can anticipate for this month here in October. So here's a chart that I shared with our Mastermind community about 2 weeks ago during a Red Pill podcast. And this chart I marked off every October going back to 2010, where Bitcoin first started trading publicly. And the data I collected is as follows. 11 out of 15 Octobers end green. 4 out of 15 of them are red. 3 out of 4 of those that were red happened in the first 5 years of Bitcoin's existence. So in the early days. And for the past 6 years, Octobers were all green. Only one example had a red October during the same year as the all-time high. So that was kind of important for us to consider because we're in an all-time high year right now. And that only happened once, and that was at the very beginning in 2011. So I'm not going to consider that. So what I mean is we had a top in June 2011, and then we had October was red in the same year. We haven't had that happen since. Also, for the past 6 years, October produced about a 20% gain on average. So for all of these examples going back to 2019, we're averaging about 20%. Also, the largest percentage gains from all of these November examples happened in 2021, right here. Also 2017, right here. And then the first example was here, 2013. And what do those 3 examples have in common? Well, they're all 4 years apart. And here we are. It is 2025, naturally 4 years from October 2021. These 3 examples have an average gain of 49% for those 3. And the lowest of those 3 examples being our last cycle, October 2021, where we still ended the month 40% monthly close in October 2021. So this is why I finished this off by saying October, because October is typically a very good month for Bitcoin. And then we also have right over here seasonality showing us this is pretty much our second or third best performing month out of all the months with about 30%. And this includes data that stops in April 2023, but it does go all the way back to August 2010. So it's measuring a majority of the data that you're seeing right here. It's obviously just a lot easier to analyze in this bar graph. All in all, this is powerful stuff. So considering an average gain of about 20% in October over the past 6 years, and also the fact that we have the pattern of the best performing Octobers being every 4 years, with the last example being in 2021, and we're here in 2025, 4 years later, as I mentioned moments ago, and then we have an average gain in those examples of at least 40%. This gives us a range of 20 to 40% for the potential monthly close here in October 2025. And when measuring from our monthly open, which I'm about to show you, we're just going to go over to a Bitcoin chart right over here. Going to go on the monthly candles. We're going to turn off all this noise, zoom in, and we're going to go from the September monthly close, for example, which is 114K. We're going to go up about 20%, and you're going to see that gets us to 137K Bitcoin. That would be on the lower end. And with the upper target being around 160K, again, considering a potential 40% gain for this month. And by the way, everything I just covered is pure data. It is not watersabove's opinion. We're not going through my opinion right now, what I think will happen. We're reviewing pure data. I'm sharing this info here with you with zero emotion, solely looking at the data whilst avoiding all the static and drama over there on crypto Twitter. That stuff I'm allergic to. Now, if you want my opinion, considering at least 20% gains over the past 6 years for the month of October and the fact that we're in the fourth year, so far following this pattern perfectly, I believe Bitcoin's right now about 8 to 9% up on the month and we're just getting started. So this definitely makes me more confident that we're going to have a very good October this time around as well. It makes me confident in expecting at least 130K Bitcoin this month. And honestly, anything over 135K is all we need to see a quick push towards 140K and higher into the month of November, which coupled with Bitcoin dominance breaking below 58%, which we're also close to seeing, well, that would signal an incoming push higher for all the altcoins naturally. Also, I showed everyone in my community this chart that I'm showing you here 2 weeks ago, and it's kind of interesting how about a week and a half ago we started seeing some quote-unquote top analysts capitulate and start to think that we were done, and we were seeing a lot of fear coming in. And now I'm not trying to create division or competition. I don't even believe in that stuff. I believe competition is for losers. But anywho, whilst we're here seeing a lot of people get in their emotions, you need to understand there's a reason for that. So the market maker, the apex predator, the people who rule these markets, they are doing it with your feelings, with sentiment. So when you're seeing a lot of people get worried and get scared and, start to lose confidence, that should be a time where you do the opposite. Okay? Again, I'm not throwing any, shade here. I'm just trying to help you become a better investor. Avoid the static, avoid the drama, and stay focused on signal. So, with everything that I was wrapping up regarding the incoming push higher for altcoins, once both Ethereum, Solana, and XRP push into price discovery, which they're very close to doing, following in the footsteps of Binance Coin, for example, well then this will likely push the sentiment of the market into the very early stages of what we call euphoria, with the top altcoins all catching up to what Bitcoin has been doing now for over a year. And this is likely the month where we'll see that all go down here in October 2025. So to wrap up today's video, you have some future dates to keep in mind, and I'm giving this to you over 6 weeks in advance so you can be prepared for over a month and a half from today. And that's the 47th week of this year, the time frame between November 17th through November 23rd. And if I had to give you a specific date, for those that are like, Waters, give us a date. Well, it would be November 19th. Now, let me quickly get into that. So we have November 19th here in 2025. You're going to see the 47 connection already, but I'm not even going to go there. Let's share why I believe November 19th is the day, and it's tied back to the birthday of Satoshi Nakamoto. Again, this is like a mythological archetype. This is the NSA, by the way. But anyways, this is the date that we're given when you Google what's the birthday of Satoshi Nakamoto. They gave that to us, okay? So the intelligence system, beast, that's what they gave us. Everyone's going to come at me and be like, well, Waters, it's not a real person, or it's David Schwartz or whatever. I don't care. This is the data they give you. And as decoders, you work with what's given to you, and you use a decoding system to go from what is exoteric to what is esoteric. That's how it all works. So they're spell casting the masses with what's easily and readily available, but everything has code hidden within it. And I'm here showing you how this works. So we have April 5th as the quote unquote birthday, and they're 229 days apart. And the reason this is significant is because 229 is the 50th prime number. And this date of April 5th, 2025 specifically is Satoshi's 50th birthday. So I just showed you 229 is the 50th prime, and Satoshi turned 50. This again is based on the date that was given to us of April 5th, 1975 as the official birthday. And now this 50 code is so important. Again, I'm going to show you one more time. These two dates from Satoshi's birthday to November 19th, 229, that's your 50th prime, turned 50 on this date, and we are in the year of the snake. And snake equals 50 in Gematria. And right there on the November new moon, by the way, this November 19th date, it's like the day before. So it's a time frame Bitcoin is known to reach extremes. This makes sense that this could be the Bitcoin cycle peak date. And since we've been keeping a close eye on this 47 code, remember the November new moon and this date of November 19th will be in the 47th week of this year. So I almost actually forgot to mention that from this past Friday, October 3rd, I was just showing you a moment ago, this would be 47 weeks after Trump's selection victory on November 5th, 2024. Showed you a little bit earlier. We had the 47-week connection. We had the Dow hit 47,000 points for the first time. We had silver hitting $47 for the first time in 14 years. Well, from this date that all went down on to November 19th is 47 days. Again, giving me even more confidence that this date of November 19th will be significant for our cycle. So you could look at it like this will be a 47-day run-up. That's kind of how I'm imagining it. Now, I get it. We do have later this month an FOMC meeting. Perhaps I'll have another video coming out then, but I don't want to get too lost in the sauce of what everybody else is looking at. I want to focus on the esoteric because that's my specialty. That's what's gotten us this far. So I just want you to see that this is all tied to November 19th. 47 days after the Dow Jones hit 47,000 points, the first time silver hit 47,000 per ounce for the first time in 14 years, we land perfectly on November 19th. 47 days later, in the 47th week of this year. It couldn't align any better. Now, I couldn't leave you guys without mentioning XRP. So the first thing that I want to mention, again, regarding this 47 code and it ties to XRP, because the number 47 is the 15th prime number. And funny enough, on the April 7th date, the date that the market crashed and bottomed, that was the start of the 15th week of the year. And also 47 happens to be the 15th prime number, which is where I'll be using Gematria. And you'll see that XRP equals 15 in Chaldean. This is arguably the most important Gematria cipher that you could utilize for the English language. So this is really powerful. So this also makes me very optimistic for XRP this upcoming November with the 47th week of this year. And November was the best performing month for last year with XRP, as well as one of the best performing months in our last cycle with 177% gain in November of 2020. Let me just quickly show you a couple of these things. So we have XRP chart right here. We're going to be going over to the monthly and you'll see what I mean. So we have here, November 2024 last year, a 283% gain. We have November in 2020, 177% gain. And this also happened to be the breakout month in 2017, which then led to the blow off top of the last cycle, the cycle that we're still kind of dealing with the same resistance level. And lastly, what I believe is the most significant thing to point out is how XRP's first major upside move over here, the first major upside move for XRP in its history was November of 2013. And the reason why I'm calling this significant is because 2013 was the last year of the snake, as you can see right here. So we have a very powerful move up in 2013, year of the snake, in the month of November for XRP. I believe that is very important for what we're about to head into here in the year of the snake in 2025. I believe we should be clearing this $3 resistance that we're dealing with here today very soon and entering price discovery after Bitcoin makes the next impulsive move to the upside and Bitcoin dominance gets weaker, since it's in that environment that we usually see the biggest moves for XRP. And with that 47 code that I mentioned earlier and how 47 is the 15th prime, this is why I'm anticipating at least a $15 XRP this cycle, with even higher targets in the mid $20 range. But for now, I'm taking things one step at a time, and it's crucial that we all stay neutral right now, especially during these times, because if you're a long-term XRP investor, then you should be aware that in every example, when we see XRP pumping It only lasts 4 weeks. And during those 28 days, during those 4 weeks, we can see some incredible gains. So while XRP is trading at these current levels, you need to prepare now. Don't wait until the last minute to develop an exit strategy. Start today and stay focused from this point forward. Don't let anyone get in your head during these times. It's your hard-earned money on the line at the end of the day, and you shouldn't let anyone on the internet, including me, get in the way of your plan. Take the time to develop your own plan and then trade your plan. Of course, I do have stuff out there that could help you refine that plan or start the process of developing it, but still, never even let me get in front of your plan, okay? I'm being 100% honest and as honorable as possible with you guys. Never let your emotions get in the way. Okay? As I always say, save your emotions for real life, for your family, for your people. Remember, money only solves money problems. And if you allow your life to become centered solely around money and become obsessed with the belief that you'll be able to make even more money if you wait around for some arbitrary price target to be hit, like $100 XRP or whatever, well then I can guarantee you that'll bring even more problems into your life, and those problems will be something money can't solve. Trust me, I made it through the last bull run, did hundreds of portfolio reviews, booked hundreds of one-on-one consultation calls, advised people to not do anything stupid at this exact stage of the cycle we're here today, and sadly many of them didn't listen because greed got the best of them. Don't let that happen to you. So let's wrap this up here with these words of investing wisdom, and I'll catch you all in the next one. And for those that want more frequent updates, you can join our mastermind community over at patreon.com/watersabove, and you'll be able to instantly access my new Red Pill podcast I just released. And likely next week, I'll actually be releasing one of my most anticipated podcasts, the What I'm Investing In special, where I review my entire portfolio covering over 20 different altcoin charts, and these are usually an hour and a half to 2 hours long. It's essentially a crypto investing masterclass, and that podcast alone is worth the value of your membership. So I'm really looking forward to working on that this week and sharing it with our mastermind community this weekend. And until then, I'm wishing you all an amazing rest of your day in the Matrix. Much love.